In 1170, there first came mention of a settlement with the name of Liverpool, which meant Muddy Water Creek. In 1207, King John's royal charter announced the foundation of Liverpool, where it got the status of a borough, which means a city with its own walls and self-government. Until the mid-16th century, Liverpool remained a marginal settlement with a mere 500 inhabitants. Liverpool's significance as a port on the west coast began to rise in the 18th century with the growth of the slave trade, which was the economic development in the American colonies. In 1712, they built the first commercial wet dock in England. During the 19th century, Liverpool took the lead within the Industrial Revolution, as did Manchester. At the beginning of the 19th century, Liverpool occupied about 40% of the world trade traffic. Now let's move on to the main character of our story, Joseph Williamson. At the age of 11, this smart man left his family and went to Liverpool and got a job as a tobacconist. According to Richard Tate's movie, Joseph made significant progress in the business of the company he worked at. He also started to produce his own work. In 1787, tobacco company's owner Richard Tate died, and the management of the business was passed to his son Thomas Tate. Afterwards, Joseph Williamson got married to the sister of the company's owner in 1802. In 1803, Joseph completely redeemed the tobacco company, and he became a man of great fortune in Liverpool. In 1805, Joseph bought a plot of land known as the Long Broom Field, where he built several houses without any advanced plans. This was the strangest description ever written by contemporaries. Generally, everything was fine, where the man got rich and built the most luxurious homes of his lifetime. After some time, the land behind the houses abruptly dropped down by 6 meters. At that time, it was very fashionable to have large gardens and orchards. In order to not look like a black sheep, Joseph Williamson built brick arches on these required sites and blocked them over with vaults. He then raised the ground level over the bricked arches and covered them with dirt and planted his gardens. In 1816, the Napoleonic Wars ended and many ex-military members appeared in Liverpool, and all of them were unemployed. According to Wikipedia, in order to help them, Joseph began employing former military men and assigning them various useless tasks, such as moving soil from one place to another, and also used people to build an underground labyrinth consisting of underground halls and arched tunnels. The tunnels were built at a depth of 3 to 15 meters and extended for several miles. Joseph didn't particularly need these tunnels, but created them to give the people work. In 1840, Joseph died and the tunnels were abandoned. You can read the Wikipedia and your soul will rejoice, because the people of England with such a wonderful man who was a real philanthropist. Joseph, what a great man who saw that the veterans had no work and devised a simple profession for them to move soil from one place to another and dig a seemingly useless underground tunnel. These tunnels are located in the eastern area of Liverpool Cathedral, bounded by Mason Street and Greenhill Street. The size of the entire Paddington area is still unknown. Many of these tunnels are blocked by fragments and rubble of varying size. The banquet hall is about 21 meters long, 8 meters wide, and 6 meters high. There are also much narrower tunnels. Let's continue the history of the Liverpool tunnels. In 1830, the railway line between Liverpool and Manchester was opened. It was a unique structure at that time. The trains were towed by steam locomotives as the length of the route was about 46 kilometers. The route began with a 2-kilometer tunnel that was laid under Liverpool. It is a narrow tunnel with wagons pulled by a haulage cable with a stationary motor mounted on Weld Hill, since the locomotive tunnel had a very steep slope which locomotive wagons were drawn from Edge Hill to Manchester. During the period from 1829 to 1848, they've built about 4 tunnels. Crown Street Tunnel opened, which was a long single-track tunnel of about 266 meters in length. It's the oldest tunnel in the entire world that was laid underground. In 1829, Wapping Tunnel was the first 2-lane railway track to be laid underground with an overall length of around 2 kilometers. Lime Street Tunnel track was also laid underground about 18 kilometers in length. Waterloo Tunnel was also built in 1848. In the event of a flood, a drainage system was built equipped with powerful pumps capable of keeping 300 tons of water in special sedimentation tanks along the entire length of the Liverpool tunnels. We can still see red brick ventilation towers. 2 of them were dismantled, but the remaining few towers still serve as an indicator to the location of the tunnel. As we can see, beneath Liverpool, there is a huge network of tunnels with brick vaults. Historians didn't even hide their existence. They even conduct exertions to explain the origin of the tunnels that was simply through the whims of a millionaire who kindly wanted to help the unemployed veterans and came up with the idea of occupying them with useless tasks of digging a huge tunnel that was laid off with bricks, and everything was simply for the good of the people. Another part of the tunnel was attributed to the builders of the railway. It seems to me that Liverpool is some kind of old centre to an ancient civilization. It wasn't futile at the beginning of the 19th century that Liverpool was chosen as the industrial centre of England. Neither to mention that from Liverpool, tunnelling technology spread through the entire of England. Researchers have suggested that Liverpool were the ones to discover this technology, and it was lost in the underground ruins. This ancient structure served its role for human survival through global catastrophes. These tunnels look like the underground metro stations where people lived underground, and throughout these tunnels people were moved by some unknown trailers. In the 1940s, they were more than happy to adapt these tunnels into modern railways. Look at the HUDs over the tunnels. Researchers have noted that you see similar ones over the subways in Moscow and St. Petersburg.